Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2MB Studios. It is 7 p.m. on a Monday night, and we've just heard my favorite song, which means that it's time to play That Sounds Right. I'm your host, Misinformation, and with me here as well is my co-host, Will Actually. Will, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. I'm here for the truth and nothing but the truth, Misinformation.
Wow. Will, I love how committed you are to the truth on a show that doesn't respect that.
I am always optimistic that there will be some truth and that the people who give the right answers will get the right points, no matter what.
You know, last time, Will, I think I did pretty well. Did I do well last time?
You did pretty well last week. The week before that, you were phenomenal. So you never know what could happen on the show.
You really don't. Sometimes we don't give any points for the right answers, and sometimes the people with the right answers take home the win and a diploma from 2MB University.
This is also very exciting. Looking forward to it.
I am as well. Some people in the chat are noticing Will Actually's books. Will actually has a lot of books. He knows a lot of things.
I'm very learned at, what can I say? Books and plants. That's what I'm all about.
He is learned as well, or as I would say, learned. Let's get our contestants in here. We've got Isabella. Welcome, Isabella.
Hey, thanks for having me, Misinformation.
Thanks for being on here. Looking forward to hearing your answers tonight. We have Jamie.
Hi, thanks for having me, Misinformation.
Jamie, thanks for being here. And we have Amma.
This is my best shot as an honorary degree, so I'm feeling really, really strongly about doing well today.
Excellent. I hope you're all fired up about giving some answers that sound right. Now, as you know, contestants, and as you may know, audience, I'm misinformation, and I don't care who is right. I only care who sounds right. So that's who I am going to be giving points to tonight using my bell. And we're going to dive right into the first round. Contestants, the first question is, why was the original color of Post-its light yellow? Okay, audience, for those of you who don't know, a Post-it is a small piece of paper with a sticky backing. The first ones were light yellow. Why was that, contestants? We're going to hear 3 answers, and I am going to assign points for who I think sounds right, because I have no idea what the answer to this question is. Isabella, you're up first.
I may not have a 2MB university diploma yet, but I was once a City Hall intern. Neighbors, people, when dogs are peeing on your lawn, you want to keep track of who it is, when it is, and get to the bottom of why. A little white paper is the perfect test strip to catch the canines in your hood. The owner of Post-its actually saw one of his neighbors utilizing this method, and it just had this chic element that he brought to the world of office supplies.
So I just want to clarify, Isabella, the reason they made the Post-its light yellow is to honor the original use, which was to catch peeing dogs.
I guess maybe it was just a healthy neighborhood and a lot of grass-fed dogs or what, but that hue of yellow just caught the eye of I think it was maybe Staples founder who said this has to be in people's workplaces.
Isabella, that makes perfect sense to me, and I'm sure it does to our audience as well. Audience members, you'll learn quickly that I am very swayed by the chat, so please hop in with who you think sounds right. Jamie, what's your answer?
So if you're familiar with like glow-in-the-dark things, they also have a light yellow sort of sheen. So Post-its were originally these sort of sticky glow-in-the-dark notes for like factory workers who had to like stumble around in the dark. They're like, how are we going to mark away? Except with glow-in-the-dark Post-its. And then they quickly realized that wasn't sustainable, and that's why they're no longer glow-in-the-dark, unfortunately.
I see. So the glow in the dark aspect was not sustainable, but they made them light yellow.
Yeah. They wanted to honor the origin, you know.
Of course. I love that we're getting the origin stories of Post-its here. Amma, what's your answer?
Well, I'll tell you something. If anyone at 3M is anything like me, they can never find anything. Like, I'm wearing headphones by the grace of 35 minutes of searching before this call started. So my best guess is they wanted something more boring, could not find it, and when you're looking for stuff, sometimes whatever stands out just is what you're going to choose. So they were like, screw it. We'll take yellow. We don't know where purple is. We had white. Someone took it, probably the interns. So while they launched that investigation, they said, screw it. We'll just go with yellow.
So it was the color that they could find in the moment. Yeah.
And some intern probably got fired for the lack of whatever color they actually wanted.
I see. Contestants, I'm going to be honest, all 3 of these answers sound so far-fetched to me. I just want to recap quickly. We have Isabella's answer is they're yellow because of dog peeing. Jamie's answer is they're yellow because they were once glow in the dark. And Amma's answer is that it was the color they could find. I love all 3 of these answers. Some people are really on board with the glow-in-the-dark notes in the factory. I'm going to agree with Rachel here in the chat, and I'm going to give 5 points for this first answer to Amma. I'm ringing the bell. It's all over. Amma, your answer sounds the most right to me. It's the color they could find. This is a familiar situation to all of us. Sometimes you just have to go with what's available to you.
That's very true. And it's correct. Amma was right. It was the color that they could find, so that's the one they chose.
We are off to such a great start, Will. You must be pleased.
I am pleased, and it's a good sign for what's to come for the rest of the show. Well done, everybody.
Well done, everyone. Let's move on to our second question. Who is the high school from Clueless named after? the high school from Clueless is named after someone. Who is it? Contestants, I want to preface this question with the fact that I don't know the name of the high school from Clueless. So we might have three very different answers here, and I won't know who's correct. Jamie, I'm going to start with you this time. What's your answer?
Sure. So Clueless is famously an homage to Jane Austen's Emma, classic English literature. So Amy Heidecker, who is the director-screenwriter, decided to name the high school after her favorite, very fringe Jane Austen character as like a nice tip of the hat.
And what was the name of the high school?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember because I don't have a deep Jane Austen.
I see. So it's definitely named after a Jane Austen.
Damn it! I was like, it's not Heidecker, but I can't remember the actual last name.
Jamie, I will say that you named some very specific names involved in the production of Clueless. That may be correct. I'm not sure. Amma, what do you have to say?
So I'm going to agree with Jamie in the sense that it did have something to do with production. So the name of the school is Bronson Alcott High School. And the name Bronson Alcott refers to Amy Heckerling's boyfriend at the time, who was named the same thing as the author, Bronson Alcott. So a lot of people thought it was the author. It was actually her boyfriend, the goofy guy from Perfect Strangers, which is a ridiculous thing to name a high school.
I'm not going to lie. That sounds right. You're getting a lot of audience support for that answer. I don't know who Amy Heckler's boyfriend was, but that all sounded right to me. Isabella, what's your answer?
It's funny how the truth can be so simple. The high school in Clueless was actually named after Ronald Reagan's dog. You know, California, celebrities, fluff, big outfits, Ronald Reagan's dog.
Wow. Isabella, that was so many buzzwords that I'm really inclined to believe you. Once again, I'm going to head to the chat because we have some split opinions coming in here. Isabella, your answer, that was compelling. I could see why. But Amma's the only person to name this school. That is true, and that's been called out in the chat a couple times. I hate to tip the scales so early, but I am going to give 5 more points to Amma for naming the school from Clueless. Whether or not that is the right name, I'm not sure. There we go. It's 5 points.
Will actually here, and it's correct. Congratulations.
2
Having
in a
those
row.
details is super important, everybody. Knowing that name. Way to go, Amma.
Knowing that name of the high school from Clueless, which I did not, but now I do. Our third question in the first round is, how much money did the original book version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cost? Okay, so we have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Everybody knows that guy. We're talking about his book, the original book. How much money did it cost to buy that book? Amma, I'm coming to you first.
Well, someone that likes numbers, someone who likes to commemorate things with numbers. Rudolph was one of 9 reindeer, but $9 feels too much for the time, so I'm going to say 90 cents. The first book cost 90 cents, 10 cents for each of the reindeer.
10 cents for each of the reindeer because Rudolph was very sentimental when it came to numbers. Makes sense to me. Isabella, what's your answer?
The first origin of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the story actually never existed until it was made into a free $0.00 storybook that was to be given out at a retail store, around Christmas time. So the original edition of Rudolph was free for the people, but just for the marketing scheme, and it just evolved from there into the classic TV film. And now we know him and love him.
Okay, so we have 2 very different answers so far, 90 cents or free. Jamie, what do you have to say?
So I think Amma has the right logic that the price is relative to the number of reindeer, but this story is like super old. Like this came, the original Rudolph was back when books were like pennies, nickels, dimes. So while most books were 10 cents, they were trying to give everyone a little Christmas deal by making this one 9 cents, where it was a penny for each reindeer.
A penny for each reindeer, and books were usually 10 cents. So I see Amma and Jamie, both of you mentioned the time that this book was kind of created in. Does anyone want to give me the sense of the time? When are we selling this book? Because I have no clue.
This is like the 1940s when Christmas in America is becoming a capitalist commercial enterprise that's revolving around, rather than the old traditions of Yule, these new plastic pieces of tradition, like Rudolph.
Right.
Yeah, we hadn't yet gone back into war, so we're still kind of enjoying the high of like having nice things for the time being. And also, you said have a sense of it, which I don't know if it was a pun, but it feels like one, and I love it.
It wasn't, but thank you. I see it now. So the 1940s, this makes sense to me because it would have been before the movie, which would have been later than that. And it would have cost anywhere between free and 90 cents, which sounds right. I think any of these answers could be correct, but only one person can get the points. A bunch of people are hopping into the chat to say that Rudolph is totally a capitalist plot. Rudolph for all, hashtag Rudolph for all. Rudolph belongs to no capitalist. Okay, a lot of support for Isabella's answer. So Isabella, I'm going to go ahead and give you 5 points. 5 points for free. Rudolph for all as a paper book in the Christmas store.
Well, actually, here, would you believe that Isabella was right? Rudolph was free when it first came out in 1939, 1940.
I am on a roll tonight. Rudolph was free for all. Someone in the chat says, I think Isabella should get 1 point per reindeer. Absolutely not. That would be too many points. That would be 9 points, 10 if you include Rudolph. Let's move on. That's the end of the first round. So far, Amma, you are in the lead with 10 points. Isabella, right in the middle with 5 points. Jamie, so far, you don't have any points, but it's just the first round. There's plenty of time to make that up. Jamie, I'm going to come to you first because I love an underdog. Is there anything that you want to tell the audience before we continue?
Sure. I'm just really happy I'm here because I ran an errand to pick up my parents' library books, and then my car wouldn't start in the library parking lot for a couple of minutes. And then I was like, I guess I live here now. I waited, 10 minutes per my dad's suggestion, and then my car started again. So if you're ever stuck, just wait a bit.
Yeah. It's a cold day. It's a cold day out there, Jamie. Jamie, I that may be a real story, but I'm also wondering if you're just trying to hint at how smart you are by telling me you were at the library earlier today. That seems like it might be a pointed story, but I'm glad to hear it regardless. Let's move on to the second round. The first question is, what's the small penis rule? Let me repeat that question. What is the small penis rule? I certainly have no idea. Isabella, what is the small penis rule?
The small penis rule is a policy that goes back to actually medieval times, where people who work in fairgrounds making like spattery fried foods, they cannot have a small penis. And that was due to a medieval feud that's mostly lost to time. But I mean, if you ever meet a guy and he tells you that he makes like funnel cake, that's a small penis rule.
The small penis rule was that no one with a small penis could make carnival foods.
Yeah, no one that like can professionally, like you could try to like throw some dough in a pan at home, but you're not getting into the union of the carnies. You could be a man that operates the mechanics of the rides. You're not frying anything. You're not getting in the guild.
You're not getting in the guild. Isabella, that might be true. We'll have to wait and see. Jamie, what's your answer?
So the small penis rule is a legal safe ground for fiction writers. So if they want to throw shade at like a real person who they hate, they will create this fictional character that's basically like this real life person, but then they'll give them a small penis so that nobody would actually sue for libel to be like, yeah, that dude with the small penis is based after me, because no one would say that.
So they make this canon in the story. They make it very well known.
Like if you wanted to make a character named Fonald Fump and say, oh, he had a small penis, and then nobody would ever sue to say that was, anyone else.
Right, because then you would have to admit to the likeness of the penis as well. Makes sense to me. Amma, what's your answer? What is the small penis rule?
So I love a rule that's too specific to be hypothetical. So this one is from the late 80s and the video release of The Little Mermaid. And on that box, if you look very closely, one of the like spinnerets on the castle is a penis. And it got by a ton of people, like straight through to home video. So then parents were like writing letters and being like, there's a penis on this box. And understandably, Disney's like, how did we let this happen? So now, small penis rule refers to the cover of kids programming. It started with videos, has now gone on to DVDs and books and all those other things, wherein someone has to check. It is someone's job to make sure that nothing untoward ended up on the cover of something intended for children.
Wow. That answer sounds far-fetched, but you're getting a lot of support in the chat already. Other people remember that underwater penis. So that sounds like it actually might be true. So I just want to, I want to go back over these answers quickly. So Isabella, your answer is that people with small penises traditionally were not supposed to professionally make fried foods.
Yeah, one of those things in history. People have a personal situation that evolves into culture. It snowballs.
Uh-huh. And was there a reason originally? It was just a petty feud.
We know there was a reason because there's a tablet known as the Small Penis Carney tablet, and there was information, but it rubbed off. It's lost to time.
Oh,
but we know it was there.
It rubbed off.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate wording. Let's move on. Gosh, Amma, you're just getting so much support in the chat. Every time I have gone against the chat, I've regretted it. The chat is always right in my experience. Jamie, I liked your answer as well, though, that you have to give the character a small penis.
It's a legal safeguard.
It's a great, in a way, both of these are legal safeguards. All right, I'm gonna take a chance, and I'm gonna go against the chat, and I'm gonna give 5 points to Jamie on this one. I have to, because I don't remember why, but I thought through it, and it really sounded like it was right. A legal safeguard is a good reason to make a small penis rule. You get 5 points, Jamie. I already wrote it down.
Oh, well, actually, here.
Was it Amma?
No, it is Jamie, but I really like Isabella's answer.
I must have mixed it up with I read the old.
I think you were close, yeah.
I think
family photo albums and stuff.
Medieval penis feud is a great.
Wow.
I wish we knew more. Scholars are thirsty for the info.
I wish we knew more about that medieval small penis rule. Isabella, up front, I have to say I was going with you on that. I was like, that makes sense. You don't want.
And the details rubbed off, like, by what? Presumably not a penis, so then what?
I gotta think erosion. I don't know. European history.
Erosion.
European culture is amazing.
was true.
Lost to the sands of time. Wow, so it actually was, Jamie, it's a legal safeguard to give a character a canonically small penis. That's unexpected. This whole show is unexpected. Let's move on. The second question in the second round is, what is the song I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny about? I'm not familiar with the song, but there is a song called I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny. What is it about? Let's go to Jamie first. Jamie, what is this song about?
So surprisingly, it's about a president. It's about the time that President Jimmy Carter went on a fishing trip and was attacked by a swamp rabbit. And everyone thought this was so ridiculous that folk singer that wrote I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny about it.
A swamp rabbit?
A swamp rabbit.
And which president was this?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. All right. Thank you, Jamie. Amma, what is the song I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny about?
So there's been campaigns for the last couple of years from PETA about being good to animals and being very kind to them, not eating them, but also keeping them safe. And for a really long time, they had to try to get people to stop buying bunnies around Easter because so many would end up in shelters within 2 weeks because people are like, oh, wait, having bunnies is hard. So it's supposed to be like a song to discourage kids from wanting to keep them. So it's about like letting them live in the wild and not taking them away from their home. So ultimately you don't end up with a lot of unhoused rabbits.
We've got two really right-sounding answers so far. Isabella, what is the song I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny about?
I think you'll remember it if you were in like the YouTube music scene in like 2009. It was one of those girls on Toddlers and Tiaras. She was trying to break out and have her own career and like rebel against her mom. And Bunny Wunny was this big pageant circuit where like if you win, you're like the top pageant girl. So she was kind of having her Miley short hair thing and was like, I had her song, I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny. And the music video was her in a mall performing it in the mall.
Performing I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny in the mall.
Yeah, she was like only like 7 or 8 years old, but she just was so mad at her mom. She didn't want to win the Bunny Wunny award. Wow. It wasn't who she was. It wasn't her as an artist. But I Don't Want a Bunny Wunny was her.
Wow. These are 3 airtight answers. 3 really different answers. President Jimmy Carter being attacked by a swamp rabbit. PETA wanting to keep bunnies out of the hands of irresponsible children, or a pageant girl, all grown up, singing a song of lost innocence. Audience, I'd really love to hear from you on this. Isabella, Jamie, is there anything else you want to tell me to convince me on your answer? Because I'm really split right now.
I do want to say this was particularly harmful for Jimmy Carter's presidency. Like for the longest time, he had a reputation as a weakling, and being attacked by a swamp rabbit kind of basically contributed to that myth. So this song really ruined his presidency, is what I'm saying.
Wow, this song is the reason for Jimmy Carter's presidency being ruined. That's a big deal. I gotta say, all 3 of these are very convincing. We have a really split audience here, but in the end, I think, Jamie, you just won a few people over because a few people just jumped in to support your answer. I'm still skeptical, but I'm gonna go with the audience sway on that. Jamie, you're already making me nervous, but I rang the bell. I'm gonna give 5 points to Jamie for a rabbit that attacked Jimmy Carter, because a Bunny Wunny sounds like they're making fun of him, so that makes sense why they would call it that.
Misinformation. You were 4 for 4 before that one.
No.
Now you're 5 for 5. Congratulations.
Well,
I know that was pretty cruel of me, but you were on a roll. I got to do something over here. Congrats.
I can't believe that. Wow, the chat has really been steering me right tonight. The chat is giving me a lot of help, and we're 5 for 5 now. Everybody, this is what happens sometimes on That Sounds Right. Sometimes the truth is the rightest sounding right of all. Let's move on to the third question in the second round, which is, how many Black female stand-up comedians have hosted SNL? How many? Let me read that one more time. How many Black female stand-up comedians have hosted SNL? I believe I am going to Amma first.
One.
Do you know who it was, Amma?
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. I know that Tiffany Haddish has hosted SNL. That answer sounds like it might be right, however abysmal. Isabella, let's go to you next. What's your answer?
My answer is that you can say that it's only one, but when you consider the countless crew members that are Black as well that have had to step in over the years, when celebrities, they show up drunk, you're like, what's in that Camelback? They can't do the monologue. Staff are always having to step in, and it's like on shows, that TV trope when you accidentally talk into your mic and the whole conference room hears you. You guys know what I mean? It's like an intentional version of that. They do the talking, and it just looks like the celebrities are talking. So I would say 1 to infinity.
Everybody's nodding. So this, what? Anyway,
they've heard of it. They've worked on sets. They know.
I just want to clarify, Isabella, your answer is between 1 and infinity, but there's no way to know.
It's somewhere in there. I mean, there could be a way to know. Like I can't get metaphysical, but I don't have the way. Not of the way.
All right. I'm skeptical, Isabella, but it could be true, because I've also heard that that there have been those situations where they're like, what's in that Camelback? Jamie, I'm going to come to you next. What is your answer?
It's still really depressing. It is 2. It is Tiffany Haddish in recent memory. And then before that, in her rom-com film career heyday, Queen Latifah got a shot at it back in the early 2000s. But it was a really embarrassingly long gap until they finally had Tiffany Haddish a couple years ago.
Okay, so we have 3 different answers here. We have 1.
Oh, no.
Okay, we did not designate a succession plan. Who's in charge?
We're actually here.
Times like this is when folks would have to step in on that backstage mic.
Yes, sir. So this is the first. So I'm going to try to step in here. We're going to actually use the audience to choose who is correct and hope misinformation comes back before.
Let me just say, if this is some sort of technical ploy to prove Isabella correct, I feel like that's a really roundabout way of getting an answer. And I don't know that I accept it. I'm just going to say that.
Reality has a known bias towards my answer, because
this is true.
This is no business. It's a complete mess.
It's like an improbable answer, and then this happened, thus making it a probable answer. And frankly, that feels a little bit unfair.
But then
no science or art could explain this moment where we've lost misinformation. Excuse me. So
what she was saying was that it's either 0 or 1 with Amma, 0 to infinity with Isabella, or 2 with Jamie. And we'll bring her back in. I think she's ready to come back, and she'll finish that up.
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you for your patience. You could have, I was having what you could call a classic cat on the keyboard situation, but I am back and I am ready to assign some points. I've thought it over. All 3 of these answers they sound like they could be right, however upsetting that would be. But we're getting a lot of support in the chat I'm seeing for Amma's answer. Rachel says because Queen Latifah isn't a stand-up, and Bells didn't make sense. So Isabella, we're hearing that your answer did not make sense. But I'll go with Rachel's reasoning on this, and I'm gonna give 5 points to Amma. Amma, your answer sounded right. And it might be. We'll hear from Will Actually in a second.
Will Actually's back here, and
Will Actually, did I get it again?
Depressingly, yes. It has only been Tiffany Haddish, 2017. The only stand-up.
I thought I never know the answers on these, but I thought I remembered Tiffany saying on SNL that she was the first, and I my mind was a little bit blown. So I have to say I had a little bit of background information.
That's good to hear. Congratulations to you, and welcome back to the show.
Yeah, and again, the scenario made what seemed like an improbable answer probable because you disappeared and we had to speak for you, thus making her answer possible. So,
Wow, that is so true. What a meta moment of this show. I don't think we've had anything so bizarre happen. Thank you all for rolling with the punches here. That is the end of our second round, if I am not mistaken. And that means we still have Amma in the lead. We have Jamie now pulling up into a tight second, and Isabella, you are bringing up in third place here. Isabella, I'm going to come to you next because there's still time to make those points up. Do you have anything that you want to share with the audience?
That I'm here to make those points up. You know, I'm wearing my fuzzy varsity jacket. I may not have a college degree or a degree from like an improv theater, but this diploma today, it's going to be in my hands.
I love the confidence. I love the
I'm here to
confidence, Isabella. You know, everybody comes on this show ready to win. And tonight, what's so interesting is that all the answers that have sounded right so far have been right. Let's see if we can keep it up in the third round. We've learned a lot of new information tonight. Our next question, the first one in the third round, is where were yellow slicker raincoats invented? Yellow slicker raincoats, the old classic raincoat. Where were they invented? I am coming to Isabella first. What is your answer, Isabella?
I'm here for the jackets tonight. They were invented in a town and now buried beneath the Middlesex Fells Reservation in Massachusetts, which is a like woods nature reserve that you can walk on the trails in. Sometimes while you're walking, you'll come upon these old stone foundations, and they were once the town of Haywardsville. Between Stoneham and Melrose, Massachusetts, it was like a hotbed of invention. That's where vulcanized rubber was invented. Converse, the shoes, were out of Malden, so it was kind of like the similar industrial thing going on. So Haywardsville was where the classic rain jacket that we see, like, you know, the little boy in it wearing, and all from Haywardsville, now lost to time and in the Virginia woods of Middlesex Fells.
Middlesex Fells. You know, Isabella, I've seen the foundations that you're talking about. That was a really thorough answer. All that background information about rubber and various rubber products. Jamie, what's your answer? Where was the yellow raincoat invented?
Sure. So the yellow raincoat is actually the same like Pantone shade as like the yellow New York City tax cabs. And that's because designer Christian Dior really had his like this vision for one of his, was it spring summer collections, that he wanted his models to match the taxi cabs of the city. It was like the whole vibe of that runway show. So it was invented in New York City to honor the taxis.
To honor the taxis. That's a really sweet answer, Jamie, and could be true. Both of these answers so far, very convincing. Amma, what's your answer?
So rain slickers, obviously you would need them in places that are famously frequently wet. Seattle, Washington. So they needed it to be able to kind of make sure that people were able to stay dry, go about their days, even as it was constantly raining. And they're yellow to be able to kind of stand out from that overcast, super dreary, foggy type of area. So it's a form issue, but it's also a function issue. So it makes sense to have come from that area where they're dealing with that problem so often.
Right, right. You know, all three of these answers, so convincing. I have to say, I think Isabella is working overtime right now to try and convince me, because she just sent me a private message that yellow is her favorite color, perhaps trying to convince me why she would know this information over everybody else. Now I love all three of these answers, but I do know, and this is something that I do know, vulcanized rubber was invented in the area. It was invented in that Middlesex Fells area, and I learned that from a history walking tour that I went on.
Yes, I'm from this area. I grew up around the, this yellow raincoat ghosts. I've been walking with a yellow raincoat.
I feel like I've seen 0 yellow raincoats in Massachusetts, but
And I've seen a ton in Seattle. So pointing it out there.
That's tough, Isabella, because they're right. I don't see a lot of yellow raincoats around the Middlesex Fells area.
You might see the Canada Goose. Those are mostly international students, though. If you go to like the dive bars, everyone's wearing them.
Full of yellow slicker raincoats. Couple yellow questions net. We got the yellow Post-it notes. We have the yellow slicker raincoats. They're all plausible. Isabella, I'm going to give you 5 points for an answer that I think was very well supported. Vulcanized rubber is an important invention. It's one we should all educate ourselves about.
Well, actually, here, and you're correct. Isabella's correct. It is Haywardsville.
Wow, this is almost unprecedented. I almost never give
This is
so
a very
many
exciting
points
night. I got to tell you.
It's very exciting for Will. Actually, Will loves when the show goes like this.
I love it so.
He's such a sucker for the truth. Let's move on to our second question in our third round, which is, what are the yellow bump? Another yellow question. Is for real? Okay. What are the yellow bumpy areas at the ends of a sidewalk for? Okay. What are the yellow bumpy areas at the ends of a sidewalk for? I have no idea what they're for. Jamie, let's go to you. What are these yellow bumpy areas for?
So this is a design called tactile paving, and it's to help visually impaired people know where the ends of the sidewalk are.
Stands to reason. Nice and bright to show the end of the sidewalk. So
more like the texture, less so than the color, because they are visually impaired.
Thank you, Jamie. Let's go to Amma. Amma, what's your answer for this?
I understood it as something to keep cars out of areas where pedestrians are supposed to be. So in the same way that the kind of rumble strips in the middle of the road kind of make a noise if a driver goes over them, it's for the same kind of thing. Like if you're veering into a sidewalk area, you're supposed to be able to feel it with your wheels and correct yourself.
That sounds right to me. I'll tell you, I've done that a number of times, ridden over the corner of the sidewalk, and I always know it. So that's
because
that already sounds right. Those bumps, they sure are. Isabella, what's your answer?
The real answer is actually so boring. Well, I guess it's not boring if you're like an earth scientist, but those bumps help guide rainwater into the storm drains. So like sometimes people think it's the sewer, like when you see a grate in the road, but that's just a storm drain and catches like rainfall runoff. So it's part of that system.
Part of the rainfall runoff system.
And like filtration, because then not all rainwater that goes into those, it's not like a trash can, like it gets re-filtered back into the other like streams of the area.
That makes sense. Feels like something civil engineers would really busy themselves with. So Isabella, you're saying for environmental reasons. Jamie, you are saying to assist people with visual impairments. And Amma, you are saying to assist people like me who run over the corner of the sidewalk to help us.
I mean, it's not just you. It's enough people that they had to build in a stopgap measure. So
clearly
enough.
Well, it's not just like, it's also the fact that if you have like, one of the reasons like Massachusetts, for example, has a lot of potholes is that like in the winter, water will like go in the road and then freeze and expand. So those also help like the roads to not need repaving, I guess.
Mm-hmm. To be honest with the three of you, I think all three of you are correct. I think it's a little bit of all of it. Helps drivers see, help people see. And the reason they're probably all raised up is, I really would love to give points to all three of you on this answer, but that's not how the game works. So I'm going to choose somebody Everybody appreciates everyone's answers, but it seems like Jamie is getting the most support. Makes sense that they would be textured. The ends of the sidewalk sounds right to me. Jamie, we're going to give you 5 points for sounding so right. 5 more points to Jamie for sounding right.
Misinformation. You're correct again.
You're kidding me.
Congratulations. Yeah, you're almost there. One more, please.
I'm so close. If I get a perfect record, that means that Will actually and I would become best friends.
At least for a week. At least for
1 week, Will hangs out with me. Will talks to me on the phone. Will helps me with laundry. This is what happens when I get all the answers right. So keep your fingers crossed for me. We have one more question in the third round, and it is, the term good vibrations originally referred to something that could be sensed by which animal? Let me read that again. The term good vibrations originally referred to something that could be sensed by which animal? I have no idea. Let's go to Amma first. Good vibrations, Amma. What does that mean? What's the animal?
So even though humans kind of have a contentious relationship with them, bats can tell the sense of things. They use echolocation to kind of figure out how things are happening around them. So if you were in an area where bats were prominent, it actually was a sign that things were going well. That got turned around later, thanks to vampires and a whole bunch of other lore. But originally, whenever bats were in a high frequency area and there were good vibrations, that was a sign of good luck.
Right, because they can sense those things.
They move towards things that vibrate higher because that's how they hear and are attracted to those areas.
I really like that answer, Amma. That sounds really convincing to me. Based on what I know of bats, that sounds like it could be right. I'm a big fan of bats. I like that answer. Isabella, what's your answer?
Well, my answer is more about a batty person, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, who put out the song Good Vibrations. So he had a really crappy childhood and relationship with his parents. And his mom kind of terrified him because she would always talk about vibrations. And that's where he got the idea for the song. But she would say that dogs could sense people's vibrations. So if a dog started barking when you walked by, it was because you did not have good vibrations. You had bad vibrations. So this weird relationship with his mom and her ideas about dog sensory abilities inspired the awesome Beach Boys song Good Vibrations.
That inspired the song because dogs would love the Beach Boys. That makes sense, Isabella. That's
and hopefully bite his mom, I think.
The dog bit the mom?
No, I think he would like that, I think. That's all.
Oh.
Excuse me. I won't speak out of turn again. Move back to my chair.
Stands to reason, Isabella. You're right. You're supporting your answer, and I appreciate it. Jamie, what's your answer?
So moles are famously blind animals that use vibrations to essentially see the underground. So that's how they get around their underground habitats, is they kind of feel the movement of the earth, and they're like, is this a good vibration that this is a safe place for me to traverse to, or is this a bad vibration and I should stay away and make my home elsewhere?
That also makes sense because moles, I think, can't see very well. They have those things on their faces to sense what I assume are vibrations. We have 3 really strong answers. This is another time that I'm really split because on the one hand, bats come out in the dark. Of course they would need to sense vibrations. Jamie, moles live in the dark. Of course they would need to sense vibrations. Isabella, so here's the thing about your answer is that dogs, to me, I'm like, why would they need to sense good vibrations? But Good Vibrations is, in fact, a Beach Boys song. And this is what's going to blow your freaking mind open. Somebody just put in the chat that would explain the album title Pet Sounds?
Misinformation. I saw Brian Wilson in concert when I was in high school, and this 30-year-old couple offered to buy me and my friend alcohol, and we said no.
Oh,
We cared about the
Isabella.
story. We cared about the history.
It's all over. I love a responsible teen. Isabella, 5 points. That just did it for me. I love a personal story to back up an answer. Pet Sounds. Thank you, Tina Talon. Pet Sounds is the album name. That would make perfect sense.
Misinformation.
Did I?
You did it. You did it. Yes, congratulations. It was Beach Boys, Brian Wilson.
I don't think, have I ever done that before?
No, you played a perfect game. I'm doing your laundry all week. Just dirty up all your clothes. I will be over there. Take them to the laundromat. Whatever you need.
Roll underground like a mole.
I'm going to roll around in my clothes. Will, thank you so much.
Is that a condition of friendship overall that you're allowed to ask people to do your laundry? Because I am not taking advantage of that, but I think that I should.
It's just something friends do for each other, you know? I've been doing Will Actually's laundry for how many shows is this, Matt?
Been at least since November. You've been doing my laundry.
At least since November, I've been doing.
We got lots of clean clothes
to make up for how many answers I get wrong. But finally, I'm gonna have some clean clothes to wear.
It's about.
No wonder he wears all black. I mean, he probably doesn't want to do his own laundry. He's gonna need to do yours.
To be fair, I honestly haven't need to do my own laundry because she's been taking care of it.
Yeah, I've this is something that's a part of this show now. This is something that we've now made a part of the stories, that I've been doing Will Actually's laundry every week since November.
It's now canon to the show, yeah.
And we can't take that back. We have 1 round left, folks, and it's a bonus lightning round. Here's what's really exciting about this round. We now have a tied game, okay? So Amma, Isabella, Jamie, all 3 of you have 15 points. Tie, all the way down. The bonus lightning round, and I love when this happens, is going to decide who takes home a diploma from 2MB University, which means the audience will be deciding the winner tonight, because the audience is the only people who can assign points during the lightning round. I am going to give out no points. Audience members, if you would like to give someone a point for an answer that you think sounds right, go ahead and just slap in the person's name who you think should get a point, and I'm going to add all those up at the end. Let's get ready for this bonus lightning round. First question. Who is this? Amma, who is this?
Clint Eastwood, circa 1955.
Jamie, who is this?
This is Commander Jawline from the G.I. Cobra South Korea version.
Isabella, who is this?
Vice President Dick Cheney.
Will, who is this actually?
Major Chip Hazard from Small Soldiers.
To Major Chip, everybody. Major Chip. Next question. What is this, Jamie? What is this?
This is an old-timey Olympic event.
Isabella, what is this?
A torture device in the bottom of a gymnasium.
Oh, Amma, what is this?
It's a summoning tool to bring about Rami Malek's character from Night at the Museum. I believe it was the 3rd one.
Well, what is this actually?
It's a torture device called the Judas Cradle.
Oh, it really is a torture device.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Usually when people answer that, it's not true, but apparently it is. Okay. Isabella, what film is this a poster for?
My home movies with my best friend. When we were in the war.
What film is this a poster for?
The sequel to Junior with Sacha Baron Cohen in the Arnold Schwarzenegger role, and what I have to assume is Peter Dinklage taking place of Danny DeVito.
Jamie, what film is this a poster for?
Borat has dad bod and gun. Very nice.
Well, what is this actually?
Grimsby.
Grimsby.
A movie called Grimsby.
Oh.
Next
I don't want to know that. That's a restaurant.
Amma, what is this?
I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've definitely seen my friend's 2-year-old eat it over Zoom. Well, try to eat it and then spit it all out.
Of course. Jamie, what is this?
This is when you take the ketchup cup and scoop up all the side dishes at a Greek restaurant and then flip it over.
Isabella, what is this?
This is actually a fancy French dish. I forget the name of it, but it's breadcrumbs, this certain type of ham, and maybe cheese.
I love a certain type of ham. Will, what is this actually?
Well, it's definitely food. It's a Dominican and Puerto Rican dish called mofongo.
Mofongo. One more, everybody. One more bonus round question. Here we go. Jamie, where is this?
This is the side, like if you just rotate the underground part of Sao Paulo.
Got it. Isabella, where is this?
This is like the Port Authority. This is where like all the $40 buses come in New York City when you first arrive.
Definitely. And Amma, where is this?
If you were to flip Atlantis upside down and let it drain, this is what you would see right before all the water fell out.
Well, what is this actually?
It's in Waikiki Beach in Hawaii.
Thank you so much. That is the end of our bonus lightning round, everybody. All right, folks, these were great answers. We just heard it from the chat. I'm going to add up all these answers myself. While I do, Amma, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience?
Sometimes I tell jokes on the internet. I also write about people who tell jokes for the Interrobang, a comedy website that's based in New York. So if you ever like, she sounds like she'd have fun things to say about comedy and you want to read those things, that's where they live.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you all for being on the show. Normally at this point, I'll complain about how the rules are unfair and how misinformation is doing you all dirty and doing me dirty. But you know what? She got everyone right. So you are all winners in my book. And I'm very excited to share this victory with you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Will, actually, do you want to tell everybody about some other exciting things happening on 2MB Studios?
Well, there are amazing shows happening just about every day of the week. Actually, I think every day of the week. 2MB, check it out. But tonight, there's a show at 8 o'clock called Poof, the Magical Game Show. And at 9 o'clock is a show called Run On. It's very different game shows from our show, but they're also incredibly amazing and hilarious in their own right. So please be sure to stick around and check it out.
And could I just add something I forgot to say, but I'm also on a 2MB show called Tall Tale Short Tale that's every month, and it's a hilarious storytelling show. So the next one is going to be, it's the first Saturday of the month at 10 p.m. The one thing I really got wrong was forgetting to say that earlier.
Thank you so much, everybody. I have added up the answers, not the answers. I've added up the points. And everyone's not making it easy on me tonight because we're getting so much action in the chat, which I love, but it's making it all move very, very quickly. But I have our winner here. Yep, we have a winner. And it is going to be Jamie taking home the diploma from 2MB University. I had to double check because this was one of the closest rounds of all time. I think this was, in fact, the closest game of all time. All contestants were within 3 points of winning this. So congrats to all. But Jamie, you are going to be the one graduating tonight from 2MB University with a diploma. Please use it to apply to all your future jobs.
I will also use it to apply for student loan relief from the government when they finally give it.
Definitely
Works for that.
It'll work for all of it. Thank you so much, everybody. Stick around for Poof, the Magical Game Show at 8 o'clock. I'm Misinformation. See you all next Monday.
Bye.